with each other. And the most important thing about trees that I want to share with us today, because we pride ourselves on being a congregation that loves all our generations, and we love that all generations come to our family service. I think Zachary may be the youngest member of our congregation this morning in his pram, and I won't name who's the oldest, but all are equally important to us. And apparently trees particularly love older members of their community. The older a tree, the more vital, the more honored, the more respected it is within the congregation of the trees. So I love that idea that kicks us off into our communal service this morning. So right now, we are going to do our blessing for kippah and talit, an invitation that Zoe, another one of Zoe's seeds that she planted in this community, was to pass along. Zoe, remind us, pass along the kippah that you find on your seat, unless you're really attached to it and you can keep it, but pass along so that you have a kippah, and then we're going to say the blessing for putting on a kippah, which I made up, because there isn't one, because there isn't a blessing for putting on a kippah, but we're all right with creativity here. So, Zoe, tell us how we pass that along.
So, if just in your rows, grown-ups, you do not need to participate unless you particularly... grown-ups, you don't need to participate unless you particularly want to, but children, you should have a kippah on every chair. I mean, every chair has a kippah. But that's not necessarily going to be yours for this service. We're going to have we're going to have a moment of, it's a tree of life? Do we have a moment of that? No, we can't. No? Really okay, turns out. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to count down from 5 to 0, and you're going to pass your kippah up and down the rows as quickly as you can. When I get to 1.
While we do it.
Okay, we'll have lower lecha. At the end of lower lecha, whichever kippah you have left is your kippah. So you're going to pass them up and down the line. Ready?
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likboa kippah. So now I'm going to, as we are going into our service, first of all, I need to ask Natasha, who had all our babies and our tots squashed on the bima this morning, to lead us in the first song, Plant a Tree, by the immeasurable Debbie Friedman, and you will offer that tree. Zoe, I don't know if we thought that planting parsley in the service was a step too far, or we're managing it. At Kiddush.
Okay, so hopefully you can see the words. It's really super simple. If you don't know it, the chorus are the trees are blowing in the wind, they're blowing, the trees are blowing in the wind, and then you've got to do a really big whoosh, and I'll be watching you for your big whooshes. Please give me your best and biggest whoosh. But first of all, we start, as any tree's life, with digging a hole. Let's dig a hole. Let's dig a hole and plant a seed. Let's water it, oh let's water it, because it's too
Fish facts.
The trees are blowing
In the wind they're blowing.
The trees are blowing in the wind. Whoosh! The trees
talk in Judaism about having keva, fixed prayer, where everything is formal, we follow service, and then kavanah, which is direction of the heart. And I think I can feel where we are this morning. So we are going straight to a new song, Sadi Katama. So from Psalms. So we can follow and be led by Dean and Franklin.
Tzadik katama yifrach yifrach, tzadik katama yifrach, tzadik katama yifrach yifrach, tzadik katama yifrach. Eres malva mogis keten, eres malva mogis keten, eres malva mogis keten, eres malva mogis keten.
Yismachu Hashamayim, page 7. We're in the Siddur.
Yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai. Yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai. Yismachu Hashamayim, v'tageret haaretz, Yismachu Hashamayim, v'tageret Yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, mai mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai 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 mai, yama mai mai mai, yama mai mai.
Let's go straight to Yishtabach. We are on page 8. Let's stand as we head to the Baruch Hu.
Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu, Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol VaHaKadosh B'Shamayim u'Ba'aretz, Ki Lecha Na'eh Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'Elohei Avoteinu, Shir u'Shvacha, Halel v'Zimra, Brachot v'Hodahot, Me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, Habocher b'shirei Zimra. La 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamorot. We praise you, O God, creator of light. Baruch atah Adonai, Habocher ba'amor Yisrael ba'hava. We praise you, O God, in love you have called your people Israel to serve you.
Please, you can stand or sit for the Shema, it's your choice, and can the kids please come up for...
Are the children going to sign from here?
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
To invite you to sit down, because before we go to Lamantis Guru, we are going to bring a bit of the Tu B'Shvat Seder in. And as we reminded ourselves with the B'nai Mitzvah group this morning, how many cups of wine do we have for a Seder? Feel free, shout out. 4, thank you. What color is the wine going to be today? Wine is a euphemism, obviously. Not everyone's having wine today. What color is the wine going to go from and to? Red to white. Thank you, B'nai Mitzvah group. So we're moving from white to, okay, we're doing white to red, winter to spring, and we are going to go for the first cup of wine. So whilst that gets handed to you in your seat, this is prayer with kavanah with a difference, I would like to ask Zach to share reading number 1. So maybe Itan, you can come up with Zach just to read from here with the microphone, just to remind us of our relationship with the land and trees. And then in our community prayer towards the end of the service, other Sam is going to share with us our commitment to what it would be to be an eco-synagogue. So, Zach and Itan, if you can just come here. Have you got reading number 1 with you? I think I've got a reading 1 here, but okay, go. So while the wine is coming round, you're going to be ready for the blessings. Here, I've got reading 1. Is it daunting? More people than I thought. Yeah. Okay. So I'll have Itan share it with you, so just bless a bit. Yeah. Okay. So on the screen, you should be able to see reading number 1, which is a story from the Talmud. The whole of this morning is about seeing, wow, ancient things can become relevant for us. Here we are, 2023, in not very rural North Finchley, and yet we are still managing to engage with the ideas of trees and their importance. So Itan and Zach will share reading number 1.
Okay. A story in the Talmud tells us of 2 people who lived near each other. These people were fighting over a piece of land. They came to the rabbi asking her to judge between them. The rabbi heard both sides and insisted that she wanted to see the disputed land.
When they got there, the rabbi leaned down and put her ear to the ground. The bewildered people asked the rabbi what she was doing. She answered, "I heard each of you say, so then I wanted to hear what the earth has to say. You are both wrong. The earth tells me it does not belong to either of you, but rather you belong to the earth."
Beautifully read. Thank you both. So with that, with an invitation to think about our place on the earth, we invite you to take your first cup of wine, juice, for us to offer the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. We are woefully deficient up here of wine and grape juice. I'm sure that can be remedied. Your piece of fruit you are going to eat in your little cup that Zoe painstakingly filled is a chestnut. We were intent to have local British planted, thank you, British planted things. So a chestnut, hopefully everyone can have, don't have it if you're allergic, but the mystics of Sfat in the 15th century decided, let's think not only of how physically connected to the land we are, but also let's eat fruits that have hard outer, hard inner, and think of the kind of people we are. So this is for those of us who have gruff, hard exteriors and are softer inside. This is the fruit for you. So have a nibble of chestnut as we offer the blessing together up on the screen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'etz. Taste your chestnut. So now, while you are going to receive the next cup of wine that is moving pinkwards, we are going to go straight to Laman Tiskoru and Micha Mocha. we have a prayer that we're literally going to hear in the Torah this morning. Mi chamocha be'elim Adonai, with Dean's melody that we sang with so much pride last week at our civic service, and some of our young people played. So Sam, Natasha, Dean, Franklin, Mi chamocha. We are on page 14.
We have a special guest vocalist as well.
But, oh, even better. And Beverly. Up you come, Beverly. And actually, while Beverly comes up, maybe I can ask Curtis's dad, Dan, to come up for reading number 2, but maybe we'll have Curtis and Ollie up with him as well. Yeah? Up you come.
3, 4.
So going from the miraculous, we are going back to our second cup. We're using all our senses here, and our second cup is going to be light pink. You're absolutely right, winter is white, going to pink. So it's going to be light pink. And then, as Zoe told us about the plums, we are having fruit that is literally grown in our garden with one tiny plum, but a warning, the pip is still in the plum. So just, we've told you that, yeah, so no insurance claims after. There is a pip in the plum, and this, the mystics of Sfat said, what about people who are really soft on the outside, who show all their feelings on the outside, but have a strong kernel inside? Hands up if you feel yourself to fall into this category, yeah? This category, that soft on the outside, but having a hard kernel inside. I can see a few people volunteering each other. I like that very much. So make sure you've got your plum ready in front of you. But before that, we learned something fantastic this morning about a verse of Torah, and Dan is going to share that reading and the commentary that comes from it. We learned about Rabbis for Human Rights, about the protection of olive groves in Israel. So Ollie and Curtis are helping Dan with moral support as he reads reading number 2.
When you besiege a city for a long time in order to capture it, you must not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. You may eat from them, that you must not cut them down. Are trees of the field human to withdraw before you into the besieged city? Only trees that you know do not yield food may be destroyed. You may cut them down for constructing defenses against the city that is waging war on you. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch picks up on this theme when he writes that if you destroy, if you ruin, at that moment you are not a human, but an animal and have no right to the things around you. I lent them to you for wise use only. Never forget that I lent them to you. As soon as you use them unwisely, be it the greatest or the smallest, you commit treachery against my world. You commit murder and robbery against my property. You sin against me. Thus, the mitzvah of Baal Tashchit is strictly a prohibition against any wasteful negative effect on the natural environment that could not have been avoided due to the importance of the maintenance of human society.
Thank you. So let's go straight into our blessing for the second cup of wine. Maybe you've already drunk it, but if you haven't, do it again with us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. And for your damson that you're going to find in your little pot, lovingly created that pot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'etz. So now we're going to go, because we are interspersing prayer with our blessings of fruit. We are going to invite you to stand as we go into our Amidah, but we're going to sing the opening prayers and then we're going to go to our third piece straight away.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatay Tifta. Na 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 Uvi Agid. Uvi Agid.
Percussion this morning. So our wine, our sommeliers are welcome to fill us up for cup number 3 right now. Stay standing because we are technically still in our standing prayer while the sommeliers fill our cups. We are going to go to the third piece of learning. But while we do that, and I ask Louise and Phoebe and Rafi to come up, an invitation to any kids who are at the back that can't see. There is plenty of space on the floor. Come, feel free to be up at the front and to be with us at the front. So these are readings to remind us why nature is so important. Hold your wine, don't drink it yet, but any kids or young people or adults for that matter, come and join us up at the front. Louise and Rafi and Phoebe.
You shall be like a tree planted beside a river that brings forth its fruit in season, whose life does not wither, and whatever you do shall prosper.
If you had a sapling in your hand and were told that the Messiah had come, first plant the sapling, then go out to greet the Messiah.
So what Rafi just read is that even in traditional Judaism, a midrash that we think was written in the 3rd century of the Common Era, just after the Romans, Jews are really intent on survival. And they say, even if the Messiah comes and you're busy planting a tree, plant the tree first.
When you enter the land and plant any tree for food, you should regard its fruit as forbidden. 3 years it shall be forbidden for you not to be eaten.
Thank you. So let's go into our, go into our 3rd cup. We know the drill now. This should be dark pink, right? Dark pink. The best kind of wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Amen. And your damson, no, not your damson. You've had your damson. This is for people that are just integrated. However you are on the outside, you're the same on the inside. This is a piece of fruit. You can eat the whole thing, pears or apples. So get ready for your piece of pear or apple. I don't know what you've got. And let's say together, by the way, what is an eitz? We're saying a blessing over the fruit of eitz. But what is an eitz? Anyone help me? Thank you, Natasha. What is it? Tree, thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari ha'etz. And now, because it's Shabbat, sit down. Let's sing Yismachu. Let's offer our prayer for peace, but first let me invite us to think of where in the world needs our thoughts and prayers of peace. Feel free to share so that we have names, places in front of us. Places in Israel, Ukraine. Where else might need our thoughts and prayers? Yeah. Syria. We might want to offer Afghanistan and what's happening there and the right for girls to learn. Anywhere else? Yemen. China and the Uyghurs, absolutely. Iran, yeah. For some reason, often when I've done this, someone has offered Watford as a place that needs prayers for peace, but not today. Watford is obviously doing well today. So let us offer Sim Shalom. We're on page 21 in our prayer book.
Shalom, Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha. Sim Shalom.
So in our moment of reflection, we have a song that Dean often sings at weddings, that is the song that thinks of fields, of evenings of lilies or roses, Erev Shoshanim, which we'll offer and go straight into Oseh Shalom.
Erev Shoshanim, Netzena el habustan, Obesamim ulevunan, Veraglech mifkan, Laila yored leah, Shalom Bimrama. Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol bnei Adam. Oseh Shalom Bimrama. Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol bnei Adam. Ya'aseh Shalom. Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Israel. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Israel. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Israel. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al
Let's stand. Let's stand as we go straight to the Torah service. So in a feat of symbiosis that we always have, we get to sing the Song of the Sea on the same day as Tu B'Shvat. So we will remind ourselves about that. But first we're going to open the Ark, we're going to bring the Torah out. We are truly, it feels very much like coming up to Mount Sinai, and I'm going to ask Maya and Hannah to come and help me open the Ark. I feel very keenly that Maya and Hannah, who had their bat mitzvah here, who have been with Zoe throughout, who have been trained and developed like seeds growing into shoots and trees to become, through bat mitzvah, through Kabbalat Torah, to become assistant teacher and then teacher of Ivria, and you are a credit to your mentor. So we're going to go straight to opening the Ark. We are on page, so I'll ask Hannah and Maya to come up here to get ready. Here's a talit to borrow. We're on page 22, but we're going to imagine that we literally are bringing the Torah down from Mount Sinai down into the people, and we're going to do so by singing the song that has been written to allow us to really celebrate the words of our, on the top of our Ark, Eitz Chaim Hi Lamachazikim Ba, which refers to Torah like a tree. It is a tree of life to those who hold onto it.
Shalom,
go back and help us take it back. So everyone, we can sit down now. But I must invite those of you who have never seen, I mean, maybe you've never seen inside a Torah scroll, this is your moment. We don't mind if there are hundreds of you standing around. But the Song of the Sea literally looks like the sea. Every Torah scroll is written by a scribe, and that scribe will make sure that the Song of the Sea literally looks like the sea, full of waves. So this is the scene. Help me. The Egyptians have allowed, under Pharaoh, the Hebrew slaves to leave. They all go straight from Egypt, and then they hit, where do they hit? That actually makes them rather nervous. They hit the sea. They hit the sea. Now, on the whole, is it easy to walk through water that's super deep? No, not at all. They are terrified. Come and look inside the scroll so you get a sense of the waves inside the scroll. And then I'm going to tell you what happened. Come and have a scroll. Move to the side slightly so that folk can see. Can you see? Doesn't it look like waves of the sea? I mean, obviously use your imagination a little bit. It looks a bit like waves of the sea, yeah? So this is what happened. Tom, do you want to move slightly to the left? Children of Israel arrive at the sea. How do you think morale is as they face the sea head on? High or low? Really low. They're like, what? You've brought us into the desert so that we die. They literally say that to Moses. And bear in mind, the complaining hasn't happened yet. Moses is like, oh my gosh, it is a full deep sea. What are we going to do? So God says you need to start moving into the sea. And no one does it. No one does it. Because who wants to go into the sea without knowing what's going to happen? The Sea of Reeds, it's not the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds was deep. So we are told in the story, Moses keeps saying to everyone, come on, let's start going. No one goes. No one goes into the sea. He keeps turning around and saying, come on, like, don't you want to try? He asks the kids if they want to try. No one wants to try. He asked the really strong young men that were leading all of the children of Israel. No one wants to do it. Suddenly, one man who's like just a really ordinary member of the crowd, like really has no special role amongst the people, starts to walk into the water. He starts to walk in. He walks into his ankles, nothing happens. The water gets to his knees, nothing happens. We've all like paddled on beaches, right? He then decides, okay, I need to go a bit further. He goes until his thighs, then until his waist. Now it's like starting to be like kind of deep. The water gets to his chest. The water starts going up as he keeps walking, like he's still got his feet on the ground. And finally, the water starts to enter his mouth. And still the waters haven't parted. And suddenly then the waters start to part. And he offers the words that we then are going to hear in the Song of the Sea. Mi chamocha be'elim Adonai. Why? Because he's got water in his mouth and he can't make it hard like mi kamocha. So it starts to be soft. Mi chamocha be'elim Adonai, who is like you, O God. And that brave person who did it for the first time, name was Nachshon ben Aminadab. And he walked into the water. And then what happened when the water started to enter his mouth?
The water parted.
The water parted. He was fine and everyone followed. And we are told in various stories that a corridor was made with fish in the water either side. So the children of Israel walked through and they could see coral and plants and fish either side, kind of like for us being in an aquarium. They walked through following not Moses, not Aaron, not Miriam, but Nachshon ben Aminadav, who now is the name that we use for people who do things for the first time with a degree of courage without knowing what might happen. So there's something exciting about Nachshon ben Aminadav. So we are now going to hear the Song of the Sea, because when they get to the other side, Moses and Miriam, all of them, sing this song. This is the moment where we hear Miriam described as a prophet. We're not sure whether these words are her words, are Moses, her brother's words, but either way, we get both of them at this moment singing. Now, we are going, so some of you are, so all of you stay here. You are welcome to stay here and look inside as we sing the notes of Song of the Sea. So hold on. And now we are going to do, I'm going to see if I can manage to break it up to do a couple of call-ups. But the first call-up, Ta'amod, Ta'amod, Mishehu Ratsa Lego Aliat Hayam. My first call up is to someone who chose to live by the sea and would like to levarech et haTorah, to bless the Torah. Anyone we can think of who has chosen to move and live by the sea? Who? Zoe. So our first call up. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'cha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notei haTorah.
Amen. So you can follow if you have a Chumash there. Thank you, Josie. Thank you, Josie. So as it's poetry, I won't translate it, but instead chant it. So we hear this is a moment of just joy that they get to the other side. They're all safe. The water closes in and Pharaoh's army follow. Anyone seen Prince of Egypt? That very moving scene of seeing Pharaoh caught on a rock. And so that's the image we're all going for right now. As Yashir Moshe B'nai Israel et hashira hazot ladonai v'yomru lemo. Asher al Adonai kiga'o ga'a sus v'roch v'ra'ama v'yam Ozi v'zimratya v'yihi li lishua ze'eli v'an vehu Elohi Elohei avi aroma menhu Adonai ish melchama Adonai shamo marchavot paro v'chelo yarav hayam umivcha shalosh ahav ta'avu v'yam suf tahamot yachasimo ya'ardu v'imsolot kamo aven yamincha Adonai nedarei v'koach yamincha Adonai tirotz oyev uvarov ga'onecha ta'aros kamecha. Let's do closing blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam v'tah b'tocheinu.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Yishaberach to our Zoe, but more of that later. Ya'amdu, kol sheyesh lahem eitz b'bayit shalahem. All those who have trees in their garden, who have a garden, maybe some of you live in flats or apartments and don't, and who would like to come up, lavarech et haTorah. Anyone has a tree in their garden? Come on up. Okay, are we ready? Off you go, as I do too. Lovely Melvin Newman planted fruit trees when I moved into my house. Baruchu et Adonai Hamavorach, Baruch Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher b'nu mikol ha'amim, natan lanu et torato, Baruch atah Adonai, notei haTorah. Amen. Uvarov ga'onacha ta'aros kamecha tishlach, haronacha yochalemu kakash, uvaruach apecha na'armu mayim, nitzavu komonet noslim ka'afuta hamot belev yam, ama oyeb erdov asi. Ahalek shilal timale mo nafshi, ari harbi torashe mo yadi, nashavta baruchacha ka'asamoyam, tzalelu ka'oferet ba'amayim adarim, mi kamocha be'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedaba kodesh, no'ora tehilot osefele. The words that were said right as Nachshon tried to get in the water. Na'atita ya'amincha tivalemo aretz, nachita b'chastacha a'amzu ga'alta, nechalta ba'ozacha el nave kodshecha shamu amim yirgazun chel echaz yoshve palashet az niv halu elufei edom eli moav yochazemo ra'ad nimagu kol yoshvei kanan tipol aleihem emata v'fachad bigadol zorocha ya'admu ka'aven ad ya'avo amcha Adonai ad ya'avo amzu kanita tiva emo v'tita emo ba'acha nachalatecha machon lishvotecha pu'ulat Adonai mikdash Adonai konanenu yadecha Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed ki vasus paro Birchanana uvarshu vayam v'yoshev Adonai el alehem et mei hayam uvanei Yisrael ha'alchu b'yabasha batoch uvanei Yisrael ha'alchu b'yabasha batoch Hayam. And then we want to include Miriam and the last words that allow her to be heard. Vatikach Miriam Anavia Achot Arahen etata B'Yachad V'tetzona kol hanashim achareha V'tapim u'mechahalat v'ateina. Final blessing for those with trees. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. I'm going to ask you all to stand. I'm going to ask Zoe, our woman of the moment, to do Hagbah and lift the scroll for us so that the whole congregation can see the waves.
Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato.
Maya and Hannah, I need again. Let's stand and instead of a community blessing today, Sam is going to read the 14 commandments that our B'nai Mitzvah children and their parents came up with for what it would mean for us to be an eco-synagogue and really commit to an environmentally sustainable, carbon-reducing congregation that can be proud of such a name.
Plant trees, walk and cycle, don't drive. Put in a cycle rack in the car park. Get a water butt. Start a veg garden. Limit printing, only double-sided. Get solar panels. Eco-friendly cleaning products. Measure and lower carbon footprint. Insulation. Repurposing. Double glazing and hybrid services.
Thank you, Sam. So it looks like we've got our new Eco Synagogue team, Tamara, that came out of the B'nai Mitzvah family group. We agreed that our next B'nai Mitzvah family learning, we will return to that. They will be written up and we will be thinking of ways to implement them. So now we're going to put away our Torah scroll. We are, if you are following in the book, you may have abandoned all hope of following a Siddur at this moment, but we are on page 31.
Etz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba v'tomechecha me'usha. Etz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba
We are going to go straight to Aleinu and we're going to have our last cup of wine as our kiddush before we go into our kiddush together, because there is more food. Aleinu can be found on page 33. while we're standing, we're going to turn to Kaddish and to remember those who are marking a yahrzeit this Shabbat, and do so here within our congregation together with all of us. So we think particularly this Shabbat of Anna Biggins, mother of Martin Biggins, of Brian Joseph, brother of Howard Joseph, of Harry Roberts, father of Margot Katz, of Jean Papworth, mother of Sarah Dibb, of Nicola Todd, sister of Michelle Golding, of Philip Westbury, husband of Sadie Westbury, of Ralph Harris, brother of Ruth and brother-in-law of David Hoffman, of Sam Lake, grandfather of Richard Green, and Svi Rosenwasser, father of Ofra Rosenwasser. And we particularly remember the death this week of Walter Friedlander, cousin of Leslie Urbach. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may those who recall and remember their loved ones be comforted in their loss, as we say the words of Kaddish with them. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shamei rabbah, B'yama divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'hayachon v'yomechon, v'chaye dochol Beit Yisrael, Magala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavorach leolam amel maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitada v'yitalev talal shmei dekudusha brichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirta, tushbahata v'nechemata, da'amiram b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'hayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'yakol b'nei Adam, v'imru amen. So, although you've been given your last cup of wine, I am actually going to ask you to sit down now for a moment, because we have something special to add into our service now. Thank you. I need so I think Paula might need a volunteer. So maybe either Ezra or Jonah or Laser, that might have nipped into the family room, could help you, Paula, with your baggages. And then I would like to ask up Sam and Phoebe and Rafi and Paula and Bobby and Maya and Susanna. I think I haven't left anyone out, but if I have, I will realize in a minute. So just leave your kiddush there. Okay, up onto the bima. So I'm going to call on Paula first, because it really, how could we resist to use Tu B'Shvat when we think about seeds and growing, to think about what Zoe has been for our congregation. So we have asked a few people to talk about the seeds that Zoe planted and the growth that there exists because of her.
Speak for Sam first.
Sam and you. Yeah.
So Sam King was asked to speak, and she is here today. She's asked me to say her words for her. So you have to imagine that I am Sam. When Zoe first started at FPS, I was given special responsibility for liaising with her over Ivriar, and the mantle has since been passed to me, and me being Paula. But this is now Sam. I also have had children going through Ivriar and teach on Shabbat mornings. I was able to see the hard work and attention which went into educating our youth, and the impact of the Ivriar experience on our young people as students and educators. Learning can be transformative, and it was through Ivriar and KT that in different ways both of my children developed an appreciation of their identity as liberal Jews. Zoe shepherded each of them through that process, and developed their evolving consciousness with kind attention and high expectations. We owe her a good deal, and I will miss her energy, exuberance, and gentle eccentricity. And then these are my own words about Zoe. So eccentricity was interesting, Sam, because I used a slightly different word, which we'll see. I remember when my own Alex, my husband, came home after interviewing Zoe, and I said, well, how did it go? And he said, she's bonkers. And he also said, she'll be great. And she was, and is, both of those things. For 5 years, Zoe has dreamed and delivered for our community on so many levels. Her creativity, her enthusiasm, her passion, and her hard work has inspired not just our young people, but all of us who have had the privilege of connecting with her. And I have to admit that more than a few times when I've thought, really? When I've heard some of her mad schemes and some of her slightly bonkers plans, but at every moment it's been amazing. And she has taught us, involved people, connected people, both to each other and to our Judaism. But mostly, Zoe is kind. Every young person in our congregation has had the benefit of that kindness. And as Hermione Granger says, Zoe, of books and cleverness, there are more important things, friendship and bravery. And Zoe has it all. Zoe, you are taking a brave step into your next adventure, whatever it will be. And you take all of our friendship and love and huge amounts of gratitude with you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paula. So now I'm going to ask Sam and Phoebe and Rafi. Sam, have you got yours in front of you? Let's see if we can find Phoebe and Rafi first.
Dear Zoe, I would like to thank you for all the amazing gifts that you've given to this synagogue and to Ivrea. I could honestly not imagine FPS without you. You really have made Ivrea such a fun and happy place, and it has the perfect balance of learning and games. Your handling of learning during the pandemic was excellent, a very difficult task.
We and the entire community will miss you so much. You've contributed so much to the synagogue with your hard-working attitude. On a more personal note, me and Phoebe will miss you a lot, and so everyone in this community who has ever been your student. Thank you so much, Zoe.
Thank you, Phoebe and Rafi. And now Sam.
When I was around 8, I started to get interested in joining Ivrea, but I was a bit nervous. Then one Rosh Hashanah, I met Zoe, and she was so enthusiastic and welcoming, and I decided to go for it. From my very first day, I loved the informal, easygoing, fun demeanour of Ivrea and everyone in it. Zoe has been really friendly and supportive throughout my Ivrea journey, always up for a debate with our class and setting us quiz questions. I remember a couple of years ago when me and some friends decided to try and call Zoe Z-Force, and then just last week she brought it back for a learning opportunity. I'm going to miss the Zoe-ness around FPS. It's not something you can easily define, but includes Harry Potter, book quizzes at Shabbat B'Yachad, the 3 AM shofar joke every year, and the fun she brings to every tefillah. I'll really miss her.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. So you can see it was actually really hard to narrow down. I have a sense that everyone in this room could be standing here sharing anecdotes and love of Zoe. But I'm going to ask Bobby next.
For 18 years, I turned up at another synagogue every Friday, sang a few songs and went home. No one ever asked anything of me. And then I came to FPS. Tell me, is there some subliminal signal, like scratching your nose at an auction, that indicates an interest in something? Whatever it is, someone needs to warn me, as it's landed me in all sorts of situations. The adult bar mitzvah, for example. A real novice with Hebrew, I found myself quaking in a group of confident and knowledgeable-looking people preparing to read from Torah. That's where I met Zoe. Rabbi Rebecca paired everyone into study buddies, and Zoe got me. She was the youngest in the group, and I thought she'd resent being paired up with one of the oldest. I need not have feared. Perhaps I should have checked the meaning of the name before worrying. Zoe, life. Our Zoe, with her big smile and huge enthusiasm, bounced into my world without a hint of resentment, and learning began. Rabbi Rebecca asked us to write about the seeds Zoe planted with me and how she's helped FPS to grow. Well, Zoe's zest is infectious, and she quickly scattered the first seeds for me, helping me to enjoy being part of the group. We quivered together as we waited to learn our verses, but we did it. We quickly found that we had many mutual interests and enjoyed talking about creativity and cats, life, the universe, and young people. And there's no greater privilege than holding the future in your hands, is there, Zoe? I must have scratched my nose again in an unguarded moment during one of those chats, which apparently somehow implied I'd always wanted to build a sukkah. And I mean, build. So our Zoe isn't one for small dreams, so with little time to complete this massive task, a small group of us worked with her to construct, completely from scratch, a completely new edifice big enough to hold the congregation at Sukkot. Tempted though I was to sit in a darkened room, muttering things about risk assessments and personal liability, I knew we'd all have to pull together to make such a big ask happen. But make it happen we did. And although there was plenty to learn for next time, there were many positives too. More seeds sown, enjoying working with different people, finding out about them, celebrating in the sukkah we'd built completely, literally from the ground up. What an achievement. Zoe has been instrumental in setting up our small but delightful mindful crafting sessions, apparently my idea. Did I scratch my nose again? Where I've made more new friends and have learned new skills from those who've generously shared their knowledge. Yes, FPS asks a lot from individuals, but every ask pays dividends by helping build links and feel part of a community. To quote Debbie Boone, dreams are the seeds of change. Nothing ever grows without a seed, and nothing ever grows without a dream. Carry on dreaming big, Zoe. The world needs more creative people than you. Thank you for the role you've played in encouraging me to bloom at FPS.
Hello. Zoe, your warmth, openness and energy integrated us as a family into the FPS community, and you continue to provide so much for all of us until we felt rooted. We're so grateful. For me personally, when you invited and supported me in telling my dad's Holocaust story to KT, it set me and my dad on a mutual journey of meaningfully and fully engaging with his childhood for the first time, which I'm extremely grateful for. Thank you. Your total and all-encompassing acceptance of everyone, wherever they are on their Jewish journey, gave me permission just to be. A nod hello, a warm and encouraging smile from you would often cement my sense of belonging here when I so often felt that I would never fit in. With your solid and calm support, I was able to accept my fears around not knowing anything much, it felt, or feeling too emosh, as my children would say. For my children, our girls, Maya and Shira, you've become the most incredibly generous mentor and friend, the perfect role model, sharing your commitment to and your creative approach to learning and to leading the way in equality, awareness and social action. And also, of course, the loving, most amazing hugs. We even snuck a few in during COVID. I have a tree reference, a quote that fits exactly what you've kind of meant for us. So this is from the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Wangari Maathai. A tree has roots in the soil, yet reaches to the sky. It tells us that in order to aspire, we need to be grounded, and that no matter how high we go, it's from our roots that we draw substance. Zoe, our root systems are now pretty strong and very, very long, and I'm sure we'll stretch to Whitstable. Thank you so, so much, Zoe, for everything you've done for me and for us as a family, and also obviously for this wonderful community that we now feel rooted in. We wish you all the best on your next adventure. Thank you.
So I'm going to ask Lily to just help Josie bring some things up onto the beamer while I read your message. So if Lily's classmates can help her and help Josie bring things forward, and yep, so Lily and Lilybeth and any of you that want to, Annie, Saskia, if you want to go and help carry, because how could we not have a balloon for Zoe? I woke up in the middle of the night on Thursday thinking a balloon is what we need for Zoe this morning, and you'll kind of see why. So as you bring it to the front, you class, and then Josie is going to help us pass things over. We need you up here. They're right to hold it because it could go up. Are you impressed I managed to hide that from you? So I want to share Lily's words, which she wrote in the form of a picture that will be for Zoe's wall. Goodbye, Zoe. Stay happy and positive. Be cheerful. I will miss you lots and lots. Be happy and be positive. Be the happiest ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Goodbye. So, Zoe, just stand here a moment. We have some things to give you. Get your Kiddush cups ready. We are going to, maybe we'll have the challah up here. We'll say, we will say the last cup of Kiddush here together before spilling out into a special. What Kiddush could we have for our Zoe but an ice cream Kiddush at the beginning of February? Yes. And we have a special Kiddush with as much chocolate as we could manage into the Kiddush for us to be able to celebrate you this morning. So you do get to say something back. So you can explain with Josie's help.
So this card has been signed by many, many people in the congregation. Some of them who couldn't be here have sent me an email, so I put their messages in. But there's a lot here that wanted to sign. It'll be at the back table, yes? So that you can make sure that everybody gets to sign it, who's here, who hasn't had the opportunity so far. Okay. And would you like to give, you've got another one for Zoe, haven't you? There's one or two little bits and pieces for you as well. Okay. Thank you. Well, maybe.
Yeah, we might want you to open them at Kiddush.
Okay, yeah.
So, because they have been chosen very much with you in mind, yes. And we want you to see how much you are loved.
Pictures are some of our favourite moments with you. You join. Let's onwards.
Zoe telling us off in Amsterdam. Eating crepes in Amsterdam.
Oh, the time I drank off milk.
Drinking off milk. High-fiving our student teachers when they finish their first term of teaching.
Yeah.
Joe never to be found in a ditch during hide and seek. I love these. Oh. Zoe, do you want to say something before we finish?
I'll try. I've had the joy and honour of working here for 5.5 years, so I owe at least 5.5 thank yous. For trusting me, eventually, when I came up with mad ideas, 54 people reading a line of Torah, a drive-through sukkah, a giant papier mâché Hanukkah, 240 Kiddush cups filled this morning. The yes power in this community is so rare and so precious. Thank you for sharing your lives with me, letting me be part of your story and your celebrations, your heartbreak and your decisions. Having a seat at your dinner table, metaphorically or otherwise, is the greatest privilege. Thank you. For sharing your children with me, for letting your kids be my kids. They have made me laugh and made me proud. They've taught me more than I ever have taught them. Through those doors in Ivrea and KT and Festival Explorers is a world that is free of cynicism and full of imagination, and it has made me very happy. Thank you. Those who supported me when I asked for help, from colleagues to council to congregants, I've cried on many shoulders and been hugged in many arms. I've gained personal and professional insight from so many kind and wise and generous people. Thank you. For the inspiration. Inspiration doesn't have to be lofty. For me, it's been a small idea, a beautiful poem, an extraordinary act of kindness. It has been a service that has soothed my soul, a decision to make change. It has been a person who shines so brightly. Thank you. 6, which leaves the half thank you. Half because I don't know who I am thanking. It's a story I've told so much. I was new to London and lonely and scared. I found FPS, came to a service and burst into tears. I was astonished that I had found somewhere I felt safe to cry. I believe in many lovely shuls, a well-meaning person would come over and ask if I was okay, and I would have to dry my eyes and reassure them that I was. But for my great fortune, I was here. The chair next to me was empty, and someone sat down and squeezed my hand. No eye contact, no words. They just sat and held my hand. Without saying anything, they'd told me that it was okay to cry and that I was not alone. I've never found out who that FPS angel was. Now I know you all, I realise it could have been any of you. Thank you. Led by an extraordinary rabbi, we have an extraordinary community. Thank you for letting me be part of this FPS story.
Shalom Aleichem, Od Yavo 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 Shalom Aleichem. Shalom
chair tomorrow is going to probably direct us to move a few chairs and tell us what's happening and finish us off, as it were. But I'm going to ask you to just hold your cup. We are going to offer the last cup of the morning, and you are going to smell the last thing, unless you actually want to eat a raw bay leaf, which of course is your prerogative, just so that we have offered that. And then I'm going to ask Ivria to lead us in Hamotzi after Tamara finishes. But let us, last cup of wine that should be as dark as it possibly can. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. And then you have a bay leaf that comes from our own garden. And what Zoe and I discovered yesterday is that the bay leaf doesn't smell great unless you tear it. So tear, share it with someone, smell, because that is the end of the Seder. That sense of using all our senses. And then Ivria, get ready for Hamotzi in a moment. Thank you for being patient. I know you wouldn't have missed this for a moment, despite the extra minutes. Tamara.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Wow, what a service. Goodness gracious me, welcome everyone, left that bit out, and thank you to everyone who participated in the service. Usually I thank by name everyone who participates in the service. So many today, and I generally don't on a B'Yachad day say thank you to Zoe, whose job it is to uphold and to enable the work of other people in this community. So usually I would name all of you and I have a list that goes on forever, so I shan't. Today I should just say thank you, Zoe. And I think I'm going to skip announcements because who needs them? Other than to say just a couple for tomorrow. So tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock is Cafe Ivria on the theme. These are a few of my favourite things. Discuss. And in the afternoon from 12 till 1, it's the final celebration, the closing ceremony for liberal Judaism at 120 years, the finishing off of a really fantastic year. It's at the Ark Synagogue, and there'll be a reconstruction of the first liberal Judaism service in 1902, led by Rabbi Aaron Goldstein. Of course, there'll be lots of fun organised by LJY for children. They'll be looking back, looking forward, lots of singing, good things to eat. That's all I have to say on that subject. And things carry on pretty much as normal for this week. So I'm just gonna bring things to a close because I think we all need to get to the ice cream. So on the subject of ice cream, could those of you at the back please move your chairs to the side, put things out of the way so that we can get on with our kiddush at the back. And that's it. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. B'nai Mitzvah class, can you lead us in Hamotzi? Come. Tom and Joe, can you just help them? Curtis, Ty, Tom, Joe. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min